Chairman Lamborn and Ranking Member Lowenthal and the rest of the subcommittee, I'm privileged to appear before the subcommittee today to speak in favor of H.R. 2295, legislation to restore to the National Park Service the authority it was thought to have for decades, the power to grant natural gas pipelines rights of way to cross property owned or administered by the National Park Service. I'm Jim Moore, Vice President of Commercial Operations for Eastern Interstate Pipelines at the Williams Companies, one of the larger natural gas infrastructure companies in the United States. By virtue of our long history of building and operating interstate pipelines, we have had many occasions to work with the Interior Department and specifically the National Park Service. Segments of our pipelines touch national park property in at least 3 locations today. In 2 cases, those pipelines have coexisted with the parks for decades. In the case of the third, located in the New York City area, we have just recently completed the project. In addition, other pipeline companies have similar crossings of national park property. I certainly believe that the Interior Department is very capable of making decisions about pipelines crossing national park property. The National Park Service has a long history of carefully evaluating natural gas pipeline proposals before they are brought to Congress for approval. Clarifying that the Department of Interior has the authority to approve natural gas pipeline crossings of National Park Service property will not only lead to a continuation of this thorough evaluation of such requests, but will at the same time eliminate the delay projects encounter while waiting for congressional action to approve those decisions. To my knowledge, no pipeline company has sought legislation to allow park crossing without first conferring with the National Park Service, and Congress has not considered such legislation without asking the National Park Service for its input. The added step of congressional approval delays projects, in some cases for years, while the pipeline company, its customers, and the National Park Service await congressional action. The case with which I am most familiar involved expanding natural gas service into New York City, specifically Brooklyn and Queens, and was largely needed to meet increased demand due to customers switching away from fuel oil to natural gas. My company, Williams, worked with our local distribution company customer to develop an infrastructure solution which would have minimal impact on residents of the city. The only practical route involved drilling under part of the Gateway National Recreation Area, which is managed as a national park, and locating a meter station in the park. That solution was widely supported by local officials, the governor of New York, and even some local park groups. Because the project posed several unique challenges, our discussions with the National Park Service were long and detailed, but they ultimately resulted in an agreement that both sides found acceptable. We originally started discussions with members of Congress about the need for legislation to approve the crossing in 2009. A bill addressing the issue was introduced in 2011 and ultimately enacted at the end of 2012. During that time, agency work on our application for the project slowed considerably, we believe due to the uncertainty around the timing of the necessary congressional action. It's difficult to say with certainty exactly how much time the requirement for congressional approval of the agreement added to the project, but the project ultimately took 6 years to complete, almost 3 years more than planned. This type of delay and uncertainty makes it difficult and costly to add the necessary pipeline infrastructure to meet customer needs for clean-burning natural gas. Williams works very hard on all of its projects to minimize any property and environmental impact while ensuring adequate natural gas supply infrastructure is in place to meet the needs of individuals, business, and industry. We actively engage all parties to find the best way to do this, and I believe other pipeline companies do the same. In my opinion, the National Park Service has fully demonstrated the capability to engage with pipeline companies on this issue while protecting the property in their care, and we look forward to working with them in the future. So, Mr. Chairman, we commend the committee for considering this important legislation to further improve the efficiency with which natural gas pipeline infrastructure is developed. Thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to appear before the subcommittee.